welcome you for this. Welcome you to this BCS program on success in CA exams. You all attendees present here the reflects that how eager you are to crack the exams. Most of you would be appearing for the first time or maybe repeaters. Friends, we have with us our two learned speakers, Divya Jokhakar and CA Vishal Poddar. They don't have any mantra for you wherein they will give you and will crack the exams, but nevertheless they have the strategies which you can implement while you do your studies, which will help you to maybe approach your exams in a better way where you can crack it as in your coming attempts. Friends, we at BCS do a lot of activities for students, wherein like one of this success in CA exams is one of the activities. Plus we have various study circles wherein we invite students to be part of the study circles, take up the lectures on the topics they are keen to, which they are more interested in, or maybe they are keen to take up. Every month we meet and we discuss certain topics of company laws, bank audits, direct tax, indirect tax, GST. So friends, I do urge all students here present to be part of our committee. Our committee member, CA Dhyanesh Patade, who is part of this meeting, will also announce and circulate a link with you wherein you can fill up that Google form and then we can connect with you and you can be part of our student forums of BCS, which will help you to groom your knowledge, your skills, and which will get us connected on the BCS platform. So friends, not taking much of your time, I will now request Dhyanesh Patade to introduce the speakers and hand over the session to them. Thank you so much.
Good evening all. Our first speaker for the day is Divya Jokhakar. Divya qualified as Chartered Accountant in 2012 and has been partner with B.D. Jokhakar and Company, Mumbai since. She is active member of BCS and member of various committees as BCS. Apart from being member, she is also actively guiding the students of BCS committee, students committee in their studies, managing events and upgrading their skills. Welcome, Divya. Our second speaker for the day is Vishal Poddar. Vishal is partner with SS Murtha and Company in tax and assurance practice. He is eminent speaker in the various forums such as BCS, GSTPM, ICA, and etc. And also GST 10. He is also GST trainer from empaneled by ICA. He is also mentor, educator, faculty for professional students and known for guiding the students for planning and preparing for the exams. Welcome, Poddar sir. Now, without taking much of your time, I hand over the proceedings to Divya ma'am for taking the time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, BCS. Thank you, Anand bhai, and thank you, Nanesh. Welcome, Vishal and myself out here. Welcome everyone who has joined the session this evening. We will try our best to make it more learning, experiencing, to be fun and entertaining for all of you. We also were students once upon a time, and since then and since now that we have become chartered accountants, we will be sharing our values which we have learned and inherited as members of the Chartered Accountant Society and also Institute of Chartered Accountants. I will share my presentation. So during the course of the presentation, I would also go around to one of the Word files that I've prepared, which becomes easier for me as well to read out some things to you. Right. So we're looking at something where we are saying we need to work hard, we need to sweat it out, we need to be determined. But success begins in the mind, and we already have to think like a chartered accountant. Specifically, when we're entering into CA firm as articles, we really have to think that we are chartered accountants ourselves. And that is how you progress to the examination. So while you are at it, while you are doing intermediate, while you're doing CA final courses in your respective CA firms or proprietary concerns, you need to be aware that you are going to become a chartered accountant eventually. And while you are in the training, whether you're attending GMCS, whether you're attending the IT training, or whether you're doing articleship at an audit location, or you're filing your tax returns or GST returns, you need to be aware of the laws you're going to play with. So it's very important to have that kind of a mindset where your attitude speaks all of it. Of course, the professionalism is what you develop at your firm. That is what you learn from your partners, what you learn with your colleagues, with your seniors. So the first thing is that just 1 second, if I can hold on, there's a little bit noise out here. Excuse me for that. I'm at BCS myself and very glad that I'm here. So the first thing is about the mindset that take this exam as any college exam. Do not have the pressure that, oh my God, I'm going for a CA exam. Yes, you need to be aware of it. You need to have the right culture and the attitude that you're giving a professional exam. We will come to how to write papers, what to revise, how to study. Oh my God, everybody's, giving me all the stress. How do I cope up with it? So take the day as in a present day, take it as a college exam. Second is a fear of uncertain. What I mean by saying this is that when you are already fearing the uncertain, that fear might not actually really happen. That might be even worse. That experience would be even worse compared to the event actually happening. There is a possibility you may just like pass both the groups, or you may just pass one group. Second, you may just pass a few papers and few papers are yet to be given. So you don't have anything in your hand. You don't have anything in your control. The examiner is going to ask the questions related to your portion. You know what the portion is. It's not going to come out of the box. Of course, you'll be cornered in different subjects. We'll come to that as well. Have a study pattern. Now, when I mean a study pattern and a sleep pattern altogether, is that when you go to sleep while you're in your examination leave, when you go to sleep, you usually think, Kal kya hoga? What happened today? I don't even remember. It's fine. Nobody remembers anything read in the first book. Nobody would, unless and until you have amazing photographic memory, and those people are called genius. They would become astronauts or possibly astrophysicists. Nevertheless, chartered accountants are equal to that profession as well, because we have a lot of legal jargons. We have a lot of data coming in and day out. What you need to first do is when you go to sleep for 5 to 10 minutes, even if you've closed your eyes, you just need to recall what you've gone through during the day. Okay, I did AS1, I did Indes 5, I did whatever, I did company law section of the directors. So keep thinking of what you did rather than the contents of what you studied. So you become aware that possibly in that portion or that section or that chapter during the day, what I read, I must revise that while I'm doing my first revision. So this is what you do during your revision and even the first reading. The fourth part is activity to learn something. Now, all these 8 subjects for CA final or IPCC, which is intermediate exams now, you need to have a study pattern. I will also show you with an Excel how to break your number of days, so that may be helpful to you. Of course, again, the logic is that you have to be prepared for the worst. So you see everything in your portion. You don't skip and jump. Yes, if you see the last bullet point, it says avoid if not your cup of tea. What I meant is not the CA final exam or the IPCC exam or intermediate exam. What I mean is, in case there is a chapter, there is some portion of the whole portion which makes you feel sick, makes you feel giddy, you are unable to concentrate, you can't just get it in your head. Happens sometimes, maybe Banking Regulation Act or a SEBI Act or anything which just doesn't fit into your head, you can just leave it. It's fine. I feel to leave it, because for those 10 marks, you're putting your another 90 marks at stake. So this is what I feel. Possibly I'll also leave it to Vishal for that perspective to change in case he has some other ideas. I'll go reverse. You need to take proper breaks. 40 to 45 minutes, you study with focus, enjoy the session, have fun while you're doing some study, because you're learning it. You're not preparing only for an exam, you're learning it for life. So you're learning and not memorizing. So of course, some portion you will have to memorize all the time. That's inevitable in any exam. So when you're learning it, you take breaks also. While you take breaks, do something entertaining. Don't talk to your friends and start talking about stress. Mera itna hi hua, mera itna nahi hua. 2, you can watch a little TV, but don't watch horror movies which scare you all of the sudden. Don't watch suspicious films. These days Netflix and Disney Hotstar will show you all these crazy stuff. Watch some light comedy. talk to your parents, have fun things at home, eat very good food. What we do is we usually, some people get so stressed out that we stop eating most of the times nice food. Nahi roti sabji khani hai, protein aata hai. It's okay to have fried sweets once in a while, and because the mind will be so bored of studying that when it looks at I'm the wrong person to be saying that because I myself am off fried and sweets, but you can have pizzas and something which kind of makes you have fun. So have some kind of meal sessions. At the same time, do your naps. Every day you should sleep for at least 1 hour. It's fine. Nobody is saying that you must study 12 hours, 11 hours. I think it's a mindset or a myth that is portrayed into our heads. Have a lot of water, be hydrated. When you're practicing accounts, costing, anything which has to do with solving, even if it's an MCQ type paper or your really theory paper, you must be able to scribble on your paper. When you scribble in your book, you're already making a muscle memory of your mind and the hand, and not only reading, because right now I have a book in front of me, so I already know, I know this answer. But when the question only comes in the question paper, you will actually start thinking harder and your time is ticking. So what you need to do is just read the question, try to scribble it off. If you can't scribble, you are just stuck, look at the answer. Definitely by the time you start your revision, you will be able to solve it at least 40 to 50%. Daily planning, we are coming to that. Every day you must stick to the plan. Thoda upar niche hota hai, it is okay. But you must reprioritize what you missed out on the earlier day by stressing a little on the second day. So by fourth day, you are back to your track. We will go to that Excel sheet for studying, which I seem to have prepared okay. We have 8 subjects in either of the exams. We have 4 months, let's say for CA final. I divided 4 exact months into number of exact days, which is 120 days. I would say I would take around 15 days per subject. Now 15 days, unfortunately, covers my revision, also the actual studying time. And there is a maximum possibility that will also cover my 1.5 days of the examination or a 1 day of examination prior to the paper. So I presume that I will be reading at least 8 hours a day, not 12 or 14 hours. With my sleep, I might even read 6 hours, no problem. So in those 120 days, I am computing that 20 days I am doing nothing. I've gone for a vacation, I have my friend's wedding, I have my sister's some program, whatever. I have only computed 100 study days. Out of 100 study days, even if I study 8 hours, by pushing myself, I will get 100 hours per subject. How do I get 100 hours per subject? 800 hours divided by 8 papers. So I get 100 hours per subject. Now, if you see this 12.5, I am effectively studying only 12.5 days per paper. Now, when I'm studying 12.5 days, I need to ensure that from the day I get into exam leave till I have my paper, I draw a chart. So the chart would possibly look like, let's say I go on leave from 1st of April. So of course I will write April on a notepad, of course not in the Excel, because I'll have to open the computer and put on the laptop to see my schedule. I will keep a manual diary. So I will write 1, 2, 3 and so on till your exam dates. Here I will write whatever I want to do. Usually you should take 3 to 4 subjects. Now that's not an attack. What you need to do is, when you're fresh in the morning, you should do heavy legal subjects, possibly company law, audit. Second half, when you go into lunch mode, you should already start, or you do after lunch, costing, accounts, and anything which you need to solve because you might feel drowsy. Do a few some sleep off, wake up, have your tea, coffee, get some refreshment, resume that again. By the time you reach dinner.
Divya, by any chance you are sharing the Excel sheet on the screen?
Yes, I am.
Oh, it is not visible to anybody.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I will just explain again.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know, should I repeat everything again or this is okay? Because
no, you can continue. I think we'll relate to what you said.
Yeah, so possibly we can take up in the question answer in case anybody's missed out from the Excel. Okay, now coming back to so when I'm beginning my evening, what I need to do is, of course, I need to continue with what I've left out, which is costing and accounts or SFM. And then I possibly could do the elective paper, which I didn't do in the morning. But for sure, I must do accounting standards and index or standards on audit accounting for sure before I go to sleep. And I must ensure the moment I pick them up, I must take a rough pad and I start writing them in full. I must write what is SA 260 documentation, SA 200, what is it saying? Just keep writing once, twice, thrice, 5 times. You just name the essay and name the standard on audit on your own and write after reading it once from your book. And of course, then read its theory, its importance, and the amounts. I mean, not the amounts, but the whole quality of that standard. Also ensure you speed up gradually. Don't get into directors in company law and start presuming, oh my God, now it's doom, I'm going to fail. You need to start taking it gradually. So if you're reading a Monish Bhandari, I'm just speaking out the author's name. I remember from my 10 years of exams 10 years before, maybe Monish Bhandari, or I'm looking at Singhania for taxation. I will speed up gradually. I will not start going to assessments and start learning difficult sections or time barring assessments of section 153 of the Income Tax Act. I will go slowly from salary to house property to capital gains. Of course, when I'm very fresh and I like that subject and it's although a heavy section, like a penalty or so, I can go to those difficult section, but go slowly, accelerate rather than speeding up. You also need to know where to stop. So let's say you are out of time. Let's say you are in the worst situation. Something went wrong and you have no time. Take a decision that I will only give one attempt, one group per attempt. It is a very difficult choice to make, but I have seen from my past experience with friends, my relatives, that by the time they were giving 2 groups in one attempt, although they took 4 months, they felt so bad that I have taken 4 months leave, I must only give the entire exam. It's fine. Now, what happens if I only give one group and I don't clear any paper? That's still okay. Because if that is also the case, then might as well not even attempt for the 8 papers. So you need to take a strong decision, but do not take any decision under any peer pressure. Because peer pressure is like, chal ho jayega, kya farak padta hai? Because you are the only one who is going to be studying. I'll go back to the presentation. Anand bhai, please tell me if you can see it now. Can you?
No, Divya.
Okay. Is that okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Right. So we're almost there with this. I will actually hit upon some small points from my word presentation, and I will also share that right away, because I just tried my best to recall some memory from my CA finals. Is that visible now? The word file?
Yes, Divya.
Okay, thank you. So financial reporting, do your question answer from your classes, which becomes easier. I have heard that the module is so amazing. Of course, we are very proud as students of ICI that we are going and venturing into becoming chartered accountants. So you are already believing from now that you are chartered accountants, and come what may, you are going to sail through. So you read the modules. Knowing the unknown theory is very important, specifically in financial reporting and costing, because when we know our sums and the logics behind them, any theory from that can be easily be responded to in the paper. But when we do not know or we are not aware of any theory or a concept which we have never studied, even in practical aspects from classes or in articleship training, that becomes difficult. So you scan through possibly your index, scan through your module, and see what kind of topics you must know. Also start marking something while you're doing CA, while you're doing your first study. Like I said, since you have only 12 to 15 days remaining for paper, you must study as if you are going to revise in 3 days. You must revise as if you are going to only study that entire subject in 1 to 1.5 days before your paper. So that is the mindset you must keep. And in the paper, you must write, which I'll come to, that you only have 30 minutes per question depending on marks, or you just say we have 3 hours for the paper. So your 4 months get curtailed. Okay, your 4 months are technically getting curtailed, or 15 days per subject, to roughly 3 days. 3 is going to 1.5. It's actually, if you see, it's actually the ratio of threes, and then it becomes 3 hours. We go to SFM, which is the subject also. Start making formula in your book. There is no other way to figure out the formulae, because the formula is everywhere. Possibly your classes have it, possibly your modules have it. Have your own notes. Like I said, for audit and law, you should write down your essays, become good with it. It's not okay to write any incorrect number of essay or numbering a wrong standard in audit or accounts. But it is great to mention the AS or INDES or a SA in your paper. That will fetch you really, really good marks. And that is why you must practice in your evenings, late nights. Of course, you will also be reading a lot of CARO, audit report, engagement letters, tax audit reports. You try to by heart them so you know the flow. What is the content? How does it appear to be? Vishal will obviously correct me in case I am saying some things which is out of the portion, which I have actually verified with my articles also, that all these things still exist. Of course, when we come to law, you read Monish Bhandari. That is what my personal experience is. We used to have practice manual, which is now part of the module. So the question answer, you do it from the module and try to understand the question and answer. Most often the chartered accountant students do not realize what is being asked. One, you will be cornered. Two, you will not know what is being asked. Understand the question before you start attempting. And while you're in the paper, while you're studying, forget in the paper, while you're studying, you must understand the question. Pause before you see the answer. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. I'm sure you have those 10 seconds. And think, what will be your immediate answer when you read that question? What is the roles and duties of a director? If that's the first question, what is the answer you get? Possibly nothing right now. Fair enough. That means you know where you need to read, what you need to read, how much do you need to read. I possibly would say that I had actually skipped chapters like Sarfazi, Banking Regulation Act, SACRA, Insurance. I had read through the practice manual that point in time, which was a question answer. So I do not become obviously a failure, because then 40 marks are at stake. But few chapters, what I used to do or I would suggest is that entire chapter को मत छोड़ो, आप उसमें से थोड़ा portion छोड़ दो. Worst come worst, बहुत ही नसीब खराब होगा तो उसमें से ही आएगा. But that is a very slight possibility, because you still have 80 to 90 marks to cover you up elsewhere. On the last day, that is when you give the costing paper, definitely, of course, 70 marks is theory nowadays for CA finals also. But make sure you know the concepts of costing. You know how ABC costing, your analysis, your cost sheet, all these concepts work, and see where you can be cornered. You should be aware of the fine tuning of costing paper. So if you still have past papers, don't only solve them. That's fine if you don't solve them. Actually, you should know कि paper में क्या आएगा, rather than being just not aware of anything. Again, scribbling is a must. So, you become good with muscle memory. Use of calculator. I've seen people struggle with calculator. Have simple calculators. Don't use CFA calculators, which are those mechanical ones. Scientific calculators. Have the normal standard calculators, and try to, when you're scribbling in your book, try to do good maths. So you are aware that how your speed should increase in the paper. So sometimes what happens is you add 25 lakhs, multiply by 18%, and some odd answer comes. That makes you aware that maybe calculator में मेरा एक zero डालना रह गया है. Also, one of the very important point is that while you are towards the CA exam and say tomorrow is my paper, for no sakes will you start anything new. Whatever time you had during the CA study exams, leaves, you will study, you will revise, you will not do anything of fresh, because the kind of confidence you have built will come down. This much you've studied, for that much If you come down, makes no sense. Do not study anything fresh. That doesn't mean you don't study anything at all. I'm just trying to tell you, just in case you felt that मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं है, तो might as well not study that concept towards the end, just for the peer pressure, just for the sake of it, just to feel very लालच के कारण कि I will fetch those 5 marks. No, you're not going to do that. My take. Due date for assessments, returns, you must completely learn by heart and direct tax. Tax audit applicability, now of course it has turned and twist a lot in section 44 AB. The core sections of the income tax, which is tax audit, 139, the 44 section AD, ADA, your deductions, exemptions of salary, old regime, new regime, if applicable to your portion, the way you actually compute capital gain tax, everything you should know by heart. So it becomes very easier for you to be able to express. Of course, taxation of trust, AOP, BOI firms and MAT are different chapters, different concepts. So you must know the analogy, you must know the logics of how we get into it. I used to have a teacher called Mr. Vidyadhar Vaidya. I am not promoting him, but he used to hold these crash courses for indirect tax, where he used to finish in 20 days, only indirect tax. And he also has some CDs and online courses that you can figure out if you can. And we used to have this beautiful book called Bangar, that point in time while we were studying CA finals. So it had its own concept paper and it also had the question answer. So these are the subjects you will be seeing obviously in your CA finals. You all know you all are best students ever. IPCC. Now we go back to how to revise. I would be finishing in 10 minutes, Anand bhai, if that's okay. I hope we are not running out.
Yeah, Divya, sure.
Yeah, so I'll hurry it up, not to worry. So how to revise? Now we have created a base during the first reading. You keep your own formula book. You've practiced essay, AS writing. I only have 3 days to revise. So while I was actually planning my study schedule, I had planned for my revision that मुझे 3 into 8 1 महीना रिविजन करना है. 1 महीना रिविजन करना है, उसमें से मेरे को 2 या 2.5 months पढ़ाई करना है. When you are studying, you ensure you know what you will be revising. So you write small R's, you dog your books, you make sections folded so you don't have to see the whole portion, because it won't be possible for any human to see the whole portion unless and until you are like a robot, which we are not. We don't have to become machines, we don't have to fear anything. It will all come out in the paper. Mind is the biggest friend of yours. It will only throw out what you take in. Since you've taken in so much with a lot of integrity, with a lot of attitude, you will always, I hope you can see the PPT, Anand bhai.
Yes, Divya, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's when you create a study base of first reading, that's what I mean. And then when you come to 1.5 days after those 3 days of revision, just before the paper. So let's say today I gave my accounts paper, tomorrow after 1.5 days I have SFM paper. Again, I won't be able to see everything. But what you need to do before the paper is glance through everything you had revised for and glance through something which you had studied in the earlier study. So I will clarify that while you're studying, you need to know what you're going to revise. Before the paper, you need to see everything that you revise for, read through, not mug up, learn, memorize, read through. And while you were studying for the first time, 1, 2, 3, when you're on 3 and when you're when you're on 1, you always say कि before the paper मैं पढ़ लूँगा. So again, you write that before the paper. So there are 2, 3 things which you need to ensure that you know. Now, what are those few things that you will see before the paper? The concept which you will never understand even if you revise. The concept which are so difficult, or reverse, the concept which are so amazing and they're so good that आपको तो अंदर से intuition आएगा कि ये तो आना ही. तो revise तो करेंगे ही करेंगे, उसके साथ आपको पता है before the paper भी आएगा. So there is a possibility you might just write before the paper and you might want to revise. So there can be alternate option that you will know consulting your teachers, consulting yourself, and consulting your books from the experience. So take this as an experience. The first study is only your experience and revision is the revision. I would come from a school of thought that every group you should focus on 2 papers. That doesn't mean you ignore the rest of the 2 papers, select most favorite papers. For example, I would select accounting and law in the first group. Second group, I would select direct tax and say elective paper, international tax. I would give my 105% into it. For the rest of the paper, I'll give 100% is what I mean. So at least by comparing the totals, I will be out of that group and I will be clearing that. That is what I mean. So keep that mindset and always come from a mindset that you have started to think that I will clear. The problem with all the students of CA final, even a few of us had it, I had it personally, when I used to feel fail hoga to kya hoga. But that's the wrong cycle we've had into. It's a conditioning. So start conditioning your mind to say that pass होगा तो क्या होगा, ठीक है, पार्टी करेंगे, फ्रेंड्स के साथ बाहर जाएंगे, पेरेंट्स को प्राउड फील कराएंगे, यहाँ पे अप्लाई करेंगे, ऐसा काम करेंगे. This is how you will change nation. So these are the positive things you will actually have to fine tune, force yourself to talk about. I've said all of these things. You can just, yeah. And one more thing, that before the paper, what I said was you need to put your eyes on everything you mark that is essential, which I said before the paper, and revision. Put your eyes through, just glance through. You will not have time to revision and revise the concepts. जो समझा वो समझा तभी. That is why while you're studying, ठीक है. Also, very important thing, while you're studying the first time, if you get stuck, you're tired, you can't take it anymore, don't let the other subjects suffer in the same day. Don't let yourself suffer and become weak. Take a break, eat some chocolate, come back, have some nice juice, lemonade, come back and start another thing. Also, while you're doing the first study, complete the entire chapter. I have known people do half directors, they do half audit, they do half of the chapters, and then they don't solve the question answer. When you've solved the chapter or when you've read through the chapter, solve the question answer. So it becomes like a proper card and it becomes a documentation. दिमाग में file बन गया, store हो गया. How to write the paper? One of my last things. First, correct grammar. We are not on WhatsApp. The examiner is looking for a solution-based responses. He is finding out whether you can become a chartered accountant, whether you are a professional. Yes, you are a professional. So, question, आप start करोगे introduction से. So, for example, there can be a question which will say that what are the audit standard? The client wanted to know what are the audit standards. Now we start writing the answer immediately. No, you will start with an introduction. What do you think about that audit standard which applies to this answer? So you already know, start building the answer. Write the audit standard 15 million times if you have to write in that answer. Essay 200, essay 200, लिखो और पूरा लिखो उसका नाम क्या है. Section 153 of Income Tax Act 1961. ये चीज आपको भले 10 बार आंसर में लिखनी पड़े, पूरा लिखिए, शॉर्ट में मत लिखिए. IT Act 1961 मत लिखिए, इनकम टैक्स एक्ट 1961 लिखिए, कंपनीज एक्ट CA मत लिखिए, कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 लिखिए. पूरा लिखना है. ग्रामर करेक्ट इंग्लिश लिखना है. कहाँ कॉमा, कहाँ फुल स्टॉप, कहाँ पंक्चुएशन पता होना चाहिए, बिकॉज यू आर रीडिंग अ मॉड्यूल, सो यू नो हाउ द लैंग्वेज इज. You write in your own words, no doubt, but write clearly. So your introduction is there. Then you come to the body of the answer, where your main answer starts. And third, you finish with not aggression, but with a lot of, there is a word I cannot recall right now. You are being recommendatory. So you're recommending an answer that aapko ye karna chahiye. The way you respond to a client, according to me, you should be filing an appeal. In case you feel otherwise, you may not file it. Of course, you will not write 2 answers. Ye bhi karna chahiye, ye bhi. You will always write what you feel is right. But you will not write aggression. The client must know. Use words like client should be advised or client could be advised, not should be, could be advised to do this, this, this. So that is the way to write the paper. Third, do not write bullet points unless and until you are in real thick papers. The entire answer cannot be in bullet points. If you write the entire answer in bullet point, it looks like a very messy answer paper and it doesn't look professional. So you write paragraphs, but you can have your bullet points within the paragraph, right? That is it. Then you do not leave any blanks. If it's a I used to have a 30-minute rule. I don't have papers or space now. You actually go descending. So 30-minute rule means that if I have not finished the third part of the question I am in, I will leave it. I will go to the second. At least the examiner knows that I've attempted the entire paper. It's okay to drop out 5 to 10 marks, but if you are on actual time, if you are on time, what you know, and you're on time, you will always clear the paper. Yes, you will never get a time to check your paper. That is very, very exceptional. You go descending, you go from behind to the front, if that's allowed. You know, and you should know that all easy questions come later. Don't try to go for 35 marker, 40 marker, 50 marker, because that's going to be a really, really difficult challenge, and you will not be able to finish the paper because you'll get confused. But towards the end, you will have 45 minutes to 1.5 hours, rather 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes to finish that first question. So you only know मुझे तो अभी यही क्रैक करना है. फर्स्ट में अटक गए तो लास्ट तक पहुंच नहीं पाओगे. एटलीस्ट उल्टा चलिए, जैसे हम बाहरगांव जाने के लिए जल्दी निकलते बिना ट्रैफिक के, like that. That's why I call it gamble the paper. So it's a win-win situation. Examiner happy, all answers solved, खुद तो लिखा है और सही लिखा है to an extent, और हम भी happy कि हम पूरा पेपर solve करके आए. Okay, so we come to a few points where we are saying we keep highest confidence while we are studying. We keep no judgment about the paper. So usually we have this habit of being nervous before the paper. Don't be nervous before the paper. Dress up well. It's okay not to wear formals, obviously, but don't go lethargic, loose, baggy t-shirts, khaki pants, folded jeans, shorts. No, you have to dress casual, smart casuals, look good, so you feel good, put some deo, perfume, and feel fresh. Always recall the memory. Even if you are doing something else, you're talking to your friends, you're talking to your parents or whatever at home, you try to see, this I have to think about. Don't stress. You don't have to stress about the stress. You have to feel happy about the stress. And that's why we talk about muscle memory raised to 3. So you keep building the muscle memory, and that's why you keep practicing. And that's why we are all called as practicing chartered accountants, because you are building the muscle memory. Of course, do not lock yourself up. No horror movies, no scary stuff. And also make sure you do the normal. Don't get into some cocoon. Don't get into some shell and say, नहीं 4 महीना में किसी से बात नहीं करेगा, phone off है. A request to all the students out here, stay away from most of WhatsApps. Tell your friends, I'm into examination. I will get back to you later on. It is not an honor. It's not an honorable thing, rather, or it is not an obligation to respond to all WhatsApp and emails immediately. You are on leave, and a study leave for a CA final examination or intermediate examination, which is a professional course. You must ignore things. It's fine. घर पे भी बता दीजिए सफेद झंडा कि no fights, no quarrels, no stress, right? थोड़ा होता है, don't get involved. Just keep moving on, because one day you have to be CA, and that is your chance. I just want to just see if I have something from my word file before I give over to Vishal. One of the points I always wanted to also say that you should reproduce exactly the ethical clauses of the CA Act 1949 when ethics comes into play. The CA examiners really like the way you play with ethics. So I'm not asking you to mug it up, but the way you present it, it's very important. Papers like ISCA, in case, don't get scared. You don't have to write it the way exactly the language is in that ISCA book, but the module will scare you off, or possibly even if it's easy, try to understand the concept and write it in your own language. That is fine. That's about it. I have most of the things what I have covered. Vishal, I will roll it out to you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Divya. So, first of all, I welcome all the students who are present here. I take this opportunity to thank the organizers for organizing such an enlightening and knowledge-adding seminar for all the students who are aspiring to be chartered accountants, who are either giving the inter or the final attempts. And thank you, Anand Bhai, Nanesh Bhai, for taking all the efforts to put this in place. And Divya, kudos, you have done a good job. So I'll take charge from here, and I would like to discuss certain important pointers relating to CA exams. Whatever Divya has covered, it was very strategic, very specific. Now I'll try to make it more generic so that it applies to many of you in general. And yes, I'll try to also make it very much practically driven as to how you can take away certain pointers for your exams. So our topic for today is how to crack your CA exams with the best scores, with the best possible output that you as a student can always command. So first is I come to some of these strategy points. Now in strategy point, I believe that first thing you should always ensure is that your first focus should be for all subjects, your target should be to complete 70%. Now, since we are very close to exams, it always happens that you may have missed out something. Please don't worry, because anyways, the paper many times may not be possible to be completed. See, now I'm giving this as one of the disaster management options, that if you are not able to complete the entire subject, it is very fine. I can even share my experience that I have at times even written only 60 marks paper and I have got 40, 45. I know many of my students and some of my colleagues who have only attempted 45 marks, 50 marks, and still they have cracked the exam, because the point is how much accurate they are. So if you are in a situation where now only hardly 50 days are left, 60 days are left, and you are not yet done with the syllabus, no worries. Now reschedule yourself, and first aim should be to target 70% syllabus. Then once you are reaching there, now even this is applicable to those students who are preparing for November. See, instead of going for 100% syllabus at the start, your first aim should be to thorough 70% syllabus, so that at least you are in a position to confidently attempt 60 marks paper with accuracy. This will ensure you reaching 45, 50 marks. So even for those students who are aspiring for November attempts, planning for even maybe future attempts, always plan in such a manner that your first target should be completing 70% syllabus. See, when you're doing classes will be covering 100%. This is about your self-study and your self-plan, how you are going to approach. And even this can be a disaster management option for those students who are giving the attempt immediately in this particular May exam, which is starting in next around 2 months time. So if you are not done with your portion, no worries, your first target should be to reach 70%. Then as also Divya said, in every group you should target 2 papers. On the similar lines, my second point says that for your favorite subjects in Divya's language, or I will use the word for your strength subjects. Strength means where you are very comfortable. You may be comfortable with theory, you may be comfortable with practical. At times, you may be more comfortable with practicals like accounts and tax, and less with costing and FM, because both requires different approach. Accounts and tax is more structured because it has rules and you have to only apply the rules. Costing and FM, even though it has some formats, it has some formula, but many times the questions are very open-ended. So different students have different aptitude, and according to your aptitude as to what is comfortable for you to understand and to write, and also when you check your answers or when you check your marks in your test papers, you find that, okay, I felt that the paper wasn't good, but I'm scoring well. So that means that is your strength subject. See, many times it may happen that, okay, I like costing a lot, but when I start writing answers, I may not be able to hit so much in costing, maybe because it is not my aptitude subject. So now your focus should be on your strength subjects, which are giving you more marks. In strength subjects, as what also Divya said, every group at least 2 papers. Try to complete 80, 100% syllabus, 80%, then maybe 90%. See, this is how you have to graduate. This will ensure what? 70% syllabus done for all subjects, fine. Whether you like it or not, whether it is in your control or not, 70% thoroughly done, you reach 45 to 50 marks minimum. And then select 2 subjects at least from each group and try to focus more, reach 80, reach 90. This you have to always plan. First, you will complete 70 for all subjects. Then you'll go for 80, 85% for 2 subjects and revise the remaining subjects. Then once 80, 85% is done thoroughly, go for 90, 95%. This is how you have to make your schedule for your studies. Most important, whenever you are revising, it is not possible always to revise everything that you have studied, maybe during your classes. So now when you are in the last 2 months of your exams, I presume at the time of studying, during your class period or during your self-study period, you have taken down some markings, you have done some underlining. Now it is the time only to revise the relevant topics. Even for those students who are appearing late, maybe November or next May, today when you have started studying as per the first 2 pointers, whatever you are studying, every topic, ensure that you have underlined, you have highlighted those things which you will be covering in your second, third, fourth revisions. Next, now those who are having their exams immediately, for them, I think, because many times this is a common question that comes from the student side, ki, sir, how much time we need to study? Those who are having their exams immediately, your minimum time of studies minimum is 14. And if you can stretch up to 16, I'm talking about 14, 16 means effective hours. So this is excluding all your normal losses. So 14 to 16 hours you should be able to hit in last 2 months. Those who are planning for November or next May, along with your classes, at least daily 4 hours besides your classes, besides your lectures, at least 4 to 6 hours should be your self-study. Next, when you are sitting to study, many times it is not possible that you are able to cover everything, and also it is not possible that you are sitting for long hours. Rather, I will recommend you should not sit for long hours. See, we all have many researches on this, that a human mind can focus for a limited period of time. Now science says it is only 45 minutes, but we are CA students, for us 45 minutes is nothing. You have to develop your mind that okay, you will be focusing for more time, but stretching a session beyond 2.5 hours is not recommended. So you should have a break after 2.5 hours. Now this varies from student to student. See, whatever we all are discussing, Divya had discussed, I am discussing, then after my session, now you'll be having rankers, they will be discussing. Students, take it with a pinch of salt. Also, ensure and please keep in mind that you are not going to literally apply everything. Everything has some sort of standard deviation. So when I'm saying 2.5 hours, for some students it may be 3 hours, for some students it may be only 2 hours. That is fine. Most important is that your sitting sessions should be effective, and whenever you feel that okay, I'm done, I'm now no more able to concentrate after 2.5 hours, 3 hours, done, fine, take a 15 minutes break. If it was a lengthy session, take a half an hour break, and try to fit your daily routine activities like having your bath, going to washrooms, having your food between the breaks. So even your breaks are utilized effectively. Next, as also Divya said, I will also strongly recommend that please ensure students that you have decent amount of sleep, which again according to a normal standard means 6 hours, but again student to student this varies. For some students it may be 7 hours, for some students it may be 8 hours. That is fine. And also what I will add to what Divya said, and I will rather second what Divya said, is that if possible, if you are sitting throughout the day for studying, if possible, take a break, take a nap in between. This makes your second half of the day more effective. So even if you are stretching to late evening hours, maybe 10, 11, 12, that part of your session is also effective. So if possible, if you can fit some break of sleep in between your throughout days schedule, it will be great. When we are talking about sleeping during the day, I always recommend this, I always apply it myself. It is the Yog Nidra. You can always find it on the YouTube. This is the best way of taking rest. And Yog Nidra is between 20 minutes to 40-45 minutes. And if you actually get into Yog Nidra, and now you have so many apps, now you have so many downloaded videos for that, whichever you find more convenient, more where you are able to connect to that particular trainer's language or that particular trainer's style, please download it. And whenever you are taking a break, even a 15 minutes break, and you want to lie down, put on that Yog Nidra and lie down and have a rest. This will give you a lot of energy, and also it will reduce all the burden of whatever you did in your previous session of study. So Yog Nidra is always recommended because it improves the quality of your rest. And if it improves the quality of your rest within a very small period of time, if you are able to recharge yourself, rejuvenate, it will definitely help you study better in your upcoming sessions. Now, some do's and some don'ts. We start with what you should do. First, as what Divya said, I will second this, especially now this is a summer attempt, which is your May attempt. A proper decent water intake is very important. Also, those who will be appearing for November, yes, your exams may be in November, but you start studying from today, and please ensure that your body is properly hydrated. However, I strongly recommend this. Many times I have seen students that those who are studying and those who are having exams in next 2-3 months, they started taking teas, coffees, and other caffeinated drinks on a regular interval. Dear students, this is not at all recommended. Also, I have seen many students, those who want to sit late night, they take black coffee. Students, it may help you avoid sleep at that time, but on the next day, it makes you even more drowsy, because these all these types of caffeinated drinks, these are only a short time kick giving things, but these are very bad in the long term. And I have seen students, they take this for a very long duration, especially in last these 2-3 months. Please don't do that, especially in summers. This is very bad. Even if it is winter, then also having caffeinated drinks or very high quantity of coffee or tea is not at all recommended. Next, this is very, very, very important. You should have compulsory daily workout, physical workout. I don't mean by workout heavy workout of gymming. It should be, one is stretching and one is slight strength training, for which I always recommend jogging and if possible Surya Namaskar. Dear students, I have myself experienced the benefits of Surya Namaskar. It has also helped me overcome my body ache, shoulder ache, and also it recharges you very fast. Now somebody would ask, sir, how many Surya Namaskars? You should start with 11. The day you are starting, it should be 11, and you should aim at reaching 50 minimum. Now somebody says, sir, but then we will be exhausted after 50. No, Surya Namaskar is different. If you are doing Surya Namaskar in the right manner, then by the end of 2025 you feel exhausted, but once you cross that number, suddenly you start feeling that you are now gaining energy, because that is the science behind Surya Namaskar. And also after doing this, again take a Yog Nidra of 15-20 minutes. This will recharge you for the next 12 to 15 hours. So please students, ensure that you are doing this. If you're doing jogging, then along with jogging, you should do some stretching exercise, the basic stretching which we have learned in school, or again, you can go to YouTube and download basic stretches, because if you're sitting for the whole day, it is going to affect your different joints, and it may in long term convert into some body ache, and which may trouble you. So it is always recommended that you should have a proper physical workout, which will include jogging plus stretching, or light jogging and Surya Namaskar. If you do this, nothing else is required. It will rejuvenate your body and mind both. Next important thing, I have asked you, even Divya has recommended that you should have a nap during the day, but try to avoid it between 1 to 5, because your papers are between 2 to 5, and you will start from your house at least 1 o'clock or before that. So try to ensure that you are not sleeping or getting into the habit of sleeping between this 1 to 5 timings, because that is the time when you have to be the most fresh. So whatever, if you are planning a in between break of a nap or of Yog Nidra, try to keep it before 1 or after 5:30, so that that will continue till your exams, and your body will develop that biological cycle, and it will not disturb you during your exams. Now, besides these some physical and mental related things, now let us go to some technical points. Avoid discussion with other students. Now this is what also Divya mentioned. I'll add to this. See, many times now I was very fortunate, because when I was studying, there was not even a mobile phone. Now I think you are in a very tough times, because your generation is born with a mobile phone and a app and a smartphone in your hand. Now, please students, if you really want to excel in exams, I'm adding to what Divya said, please avoid talking to your friends, and please delink yourself from all websites. Also, if possible, try to even avoid a smartphone itself in the first place. Yes, if you're going to some libraries or something, if you're staying in hostels and your parents need to be in touch with you, you can have a simple phone. Or in very rare case, even if you're having a smartphone, please delete all the apps. It is not at all required. And also, please avoid speaking to other students, especially those who are giving attempt, because the virus of negativity, the virus of pressure spreads very fast. If any of your friends say that, okay, this is important, or he just ask you a question on audit, and maybe you would have revised it very early, now you're not able to recall, suddenly it gives you a fear.
I think we have lost Vishal's connection.
Also, meanwhile, Vishal resumes. I also wanted articles to be aware of the fact that we are when we are doing our articleship, there are a lot of times that we realize that what we've learned during our articleship actually plays a very important role in our exams. For example, there was a time when I had sat for my internal training session, and also I had done that in my audit also. What are the assertions in audit? That question came for 20 marks in my audit paper when I was giving my IPCC back then, which is now the intermediate. Because of the 20 mark, all the students came out of the exam paper very sad, very depressed. What is the meaning of assertions, they said. So we said the assertion means how do you mention or how do you affirm the figures in the audit statement? How do you figure what is it in your accounting standards? How do you say what are your debtors made up of? How do you say a balance sheet items are true and fair? So for example, they said that please write any 5 assertions. So I selected debtors, I selected fixed assets, I selected current liabilities. What are assertions? Assertions say, for example, that debtor belongs to me. I'll just finish before Vishal takes over. What are the debtors made up of? What is a quantification? Is it true? Do I really have the debtors or are they fake? Do I have the bills against them? Assertions are audit related, documentation related points which you need to be aware of while you are doing audit. Now, all these things mean that you need to be aware, you need to be off your WhatsApp, your social media while you're in articleship. Even if it's a small proprietary concern, be aware every single day what you do, how you do. You will be not having any difficulties even if you clear a CA. Vishal, please continue.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, there was a power failure, so the Wi-Fi went off. So we were on this point that as far as possible, don't discuss with your friends, especially who are giving the attempt. If you have anything to discuss, you should go to your teachers or mentors because they will be guiding you right. Next, too many IMPs spoil your preparation. Now, since few years I have seen because of this online classes trend, and now every class person wants to show his presence. So they come up with IMPs just 1 or 2 months before the exams. And now these gets circulated and shared widely on WhatsApp and on not Insta, sorry, Telegram. Dear students, please, no teacher throughout India has set the paper. So nobody knows what is going to come in the paper. Yes, everybody would be sharing what is their judgment about the paper. Please don't get into too many IMPs, too many things which are shared. That is why even Divya said, and I'm also adding that please avoid all your social groups so that you will not be too much bothered by these IMPs and different things that are floated in last 2-3 months, because these actually hamper your preparation. Because suddenly once you get something, you start going through it, you suddenly find that, okay, I don't remember this. Maybe you would have studied that and you would be revising after a few days. At present, you're doing accounts, but you get tax IMP. You shift your study to tax because you are not able to recall, or suddenly you find something which you did not study or which you have kept in option. That is okay. Please stick to what you have planned, stick to what is your 70%, 80%. The IMP may be having something out of that. That is very okay. Believe in your plans. Also, stick to your shortcut notes, and as far as possible, try that module is covered wherever it is required. Like even rankers will be discussing on this, but wherever possible, stick to your notes, stick to your shortcuts, and that is done. See what you have done in 6 months. Please don't try to change it in last 3 months. This is going to be disastrous. Now, what are the don'ts? Approaching CA like any other exams. Many times I have seen that people approach CA like become exams that okay, in last 1, 2, 3 months we can do it. Sorry, it is not that way. Most important, please do not approach intern or final like what you did in CA foundation. CA foundation according to me is never an entrance for CA. It is just 11 12 combined and put it in the name of foundation. Your actual CA syllabus starts at inter. The main core subjects of taxation, costing, financial management, auditing and accounts are actually at the inter level and continue at the final level. So please do not have the same approach what you had at final, sorry, at foundation, at inter. In fact, I will also recommend that what you did in inter may not be replicated in final, because inter you were only studying, there was nothing else, but final you study along with articles, which is altogether a different ball game. See, foundation is like 2020 match. Inter is like a 1 day match. 1 day means you have only 9 months, that is 1 year. And your final is like a test match because it runs over 3 years. So please ensure that you have proper strategies. You should have a proper mentor. And as far as possible, the mentor should be available with you whenever you want. He or she should be available physically or at least live. Don't be too much dependent on recorded things, because recorded can only give you information, but they cannot mentor you, they cannot be your guide at difficult times. Also, what you should not do is, see, we speak to lot many seniors, especially those who have passed, and they would be suggesting, some may be suggesting a study plan, some may be suggesting a schedule, some may tell you, okay, do this in this manner. See, you have to take their advices, but you have to take it like a feedback, like an input. It should not be copy paste. It should be copy and paste special. Paste special means you should be able to adapt it to your methods. Please do not literally copy what your senior suggests. Even though they may have passed, they may be in rank, you have to take it and adapt it to your schedules. Multiple advices create confusion. If you're taking advice of any senior or ranker, please stick to one person. If you go to too many persons, see, everybody has their own schedule, methods and their way of approaching the exams, and that has given them result. But you cannot copy everybody. You cannot simply copy paste everybody. That will again be a disaster, because you will not be able to copy paste everybody's methods. So stick to one person. Also, the methods which have been proven successful for others may not necessarily apply to you as it is. You have to have your own methods, and if you're not able to do that, then at least have a mentor who will guide you. And most important, as what even Divya said, there are some students who are supernaturals, they are superheroes. In my language means what? That they study once and they recall, they may be able to remember and recall. I am not. Let me identify myself. Let me identify whether I am able to recall things in one reading or two readings. If that person is doing 6 readings, I may not require 6 readings. I may be good at 2 readings. If that person is solving 100 sums and then getting confidence, I may be even getting confidence in 20 sums. That is fine. So there are people with different aptitudes, different mindsets, and there are some superheroes. Superheroes means fine. They may read once, they may remember. Even in classes, it happens that when you are attending class, some student may retain it very easily, very fast, and very comfortably answer. And many times I've seen the other students start feeling low. They feel that, okay, I'm not made for this course. Sorry, it is not like that. That person may have that good catching power or good power of grasping. You may not be having, and that is very okay. Not all CAs who are CAs since last so many years have the first time grasping that whatever they hear, they are able to retain and even recall immediately. I'm not having, and that is fine. So I have to study according to my type. Now, what should be your approach? Most important, you should always keep reminding yourself why you joined this course. Anand bhai, how much time now I have? Because I have some PPTs to play, but then I will decide how many to play depending upon the time which I can use.
Maybe 5 minutes more.
Oh,
5 to
only
10
5
minutes
minutes?
max.
10 minutes?
Max.
Okay, fine. Then I will just play 2 or 3 PPTs just to add something more to the students. See, students, many times in your entire journey of CA course, you will face lows. You may even face some very down or something negative, and at times you may get frustrated. if you're continuously having a lot of load pressure, maybe of your studies or of exams, or maybe facing failures, and at times you may reach a point where you may think that, okay, I should maybe drop the course. At that time, just keep on reminding yourself the reason why you wanted to do this course, because many times it is this reason that gives you that driving force. It is this reason that gives you that extra punch even to stand when the things are going against you, and you should have that reason. Many times when I ask students why you want to do CA, they don't have an answer, because they may have done CA because their friend is doing, they may have done CA because some of their parents or relatives may have recommended. It is very fine. See, I also joined the course when I was not knowing anything about CA except the full form chartered accountant. I was not knowing the subjects. I was not knowing anything. Only I had heard that, okay, CAs have offices, they have lavish this, they have that. That's it. But I wasn't knowing what is CA. But over the period of the course, I found two, three reasons why I wanted to do CA. And those two, three reasons, why I'm saying two, three, because I got it at different points of time, different reasons. Those were my pushing points. They helped me to sit for 16, 18 hours. They helped me to even stand strong when I had faced failure. They helped me to even face people when I had failures. So keep reminding yourself that, okay, fine, I have selected this course, and this is that reason why I'm doing this course. Next, even I was mentioning this in the previous slide, please believe in your work methods and schedules. You may take advice from your friends, you may take advice from pass out students, but you have to stick to your schedules. What will happen, Max? Your schedules may not give you result in this term. That is okay. But at least you will know that, okay, this is working and this is not working. When you take advice, it happens that you are simply taking advice, you are changing your schedule. Again, you meet somebody else, you take that person's advice, you hear something on YouTube, you change your schedules. Please don't do that. Take it from a good person, maybe a good senior person, and as I said, follow only one or two persons, or take it from your mentor, and then believe in it 100% for that attempt. Most important, many times it happens, especially after a failure, that you carry some baggage, and when you carry this baggage, it actually don't give you that impetus to study, rather it pulls you down. Now here I have an interesting story to share with you. Now this story will help all those people who are having something negative with them which they are carrying. It may be personal, it may be academic, whatever. So I think this story should help you. Now it is a class where a professor, who is a psychology professor, he is asking the students with a glass in his hand like this, that, okay, students, how much do you think this glass would weigh? What would be the weight of this glass? Now some students said, sir, 50 grams, some said 100 grams, 125 grams, and so on. Fine. The professor will say, okay, fine, leave it. It doesn't matter how much it weighs. Now, what would happen if I hold the glass like this? Let us say I keep my hand straight with the glass full of water and I'm holding it like this. What would happen if I hold it for a few minutes? Student said, sir, nothing will happen. Exactly. Now, what would happen if I keep holding this glass like this for an hour? Then some students said, sir, maybe you will start having ache in your arm, correct? He further added, so you're right. Now, what would happen if I hold it for hours together, maybe 6, 7 hours, or throughout the day? Now the student said, sir, this is too much. If you still do it, you may have a severe problem with your arm. It may go numb, or if you still continue holding the glass like this for hours together, you may even have a paralysis and you'll have to be hospitalized. Now, after so many answers, the professor said, great. Holding the glass like this, he said, great. Now, during all this, did the weight of this glass change? Let us say you said the weight is 50 grams, 100 grams, fine. But during these hours, till the time I was holding the glass, whether the weight of the glass changed, the answer is no. Obviously, your answer would also be no, that the weight of the glass never changed during these hours. Then my question is, what caused the arm ache? What caused me the muscle stress? Now the students were puzzled because they did not know the answer for this. What should I do? Now he asked the next question. Okay, fine. What caused this arm ache? You are not able to answer. Okay. My question is, now what should I do if I want to come out of this pain? Now, this is the key point. If I want to come out of this pain, the simple answer is put the glass down. Now, this is the key point which I'm going to put forth. See, you maybe having something negative, something may have gone wrong, some attempt may have failed, or something bad or wrong may have happened with you at personal level, at family level, at society level. It is fine. All of us have gone through such things, maybe once, twice, thrice, and it is part of life. It is part of profession. It is part of personal life. But what is important is that that is my past. Today when I'm sitting in front of you, today itself I may have had something bad happening, I may have a rough part in the day, but today when I'm right now sitting in front of you, what is more important is what I'm doing right now. If I still carry that in my mind that okay, this has happened with me, this has went wrong, last time I failed, today this thing wrong happened with me, I will not able to focus on what is in front of me. So life problems are something like this. You hold it for a few minutes in your mind, they are okay. But if you think of them for a long period of time, those problems which are now past events, in your accounting language, they are past events, prior period items, but you are holding them in your mind by reviving, replaying the same cassette again and again. What will happen? They will start creating problem here and here. And if you keep holding it even for more longer time, they actually paralyze you. I know students who were in past, when I've heard about them, they were very smart, they were very smart, sharp in their academics, but today suddenly when I find them, they are dumb. What has changed? Has their mind changed? No. But maybe they are carrying some baggage. They are holding something in their mind which is not helping them move ahead. So it actually paralyzes you. And I have seen students, number of students who sit in front of me like a statue. No expression, nothing. Why? Because something is stuck in their mind. So dear students, remember one thing. In life, you will face challenge, you will face problems. Please don't expect a life without challenges and problems. That will never happen. Your expectation itself is wrong. But what is important is, at the end of the day, you should learn to put them down. That way, you are not stressed. You wake up every day fresh and strong and handle the new issues, new challenges that come your way. So, when you need to achieve big, remember, friends, first to put the glass down. What is putting the glass down? Putting all the past baggages down. Okay, something may have happened. Okay, you have failed in the previous attempt. Fine. Something wrong may have happened at personal level, family level. Fine. Keep it down. Focus on what is coming next. Identify your strengths and limitations, and most important, when it comes to limitations, please accept them. Nobody is 100%, and yes, there may be few Rajnikants, but fine, they are only few. I am not Rajnikant, that is okay. I should learn to balance my limitations. Limitations everybody is having, you should be able to just balance them. As I have been saying, please have an experienced mentor. He may be your teacher, he may be your friend, or he may be a senior. But the point is, he should be capable of being a mentor. And most important, he should be one who understands you, and even more important, accepts you as you are and not compare with somebody else or try to make you somebody else. That is never a mentor. And I always speak on this. In fact, I have written, you can say, a small book-like thing on this. Know your meditation. Maybe some other day, I would like to have a separate session on this. Knowing your meditation means what? Everybody says that when you're doing something big, like if you're appearing for exams, you should meditate. Why meditate? It relaxes your mind. It helps you develop focus, concentration. Everything is fine. But what is meditation? If you type meditation on Google, it will give you certain asanas. But again, what is suitable for one may not be suitable for me. For me, meditation is music. For me, meditation is cricket. What is meditation? It dealings me from everything else, and I'm only with myself. When I'm playing cricket, I know nothing in the world. I remember nobody who is my relative, who is my friend. I only know, I'm only focused on my game, and that is what is the meditation. So dear students, from me, keeping the time limitation in mind, I would like to stop over here. There are many things. Maybe we can connect again. Over to you, Anand bhai.
Thanks so much, Vishal. Ganesh.
Yeah. So I would like Lakshmanan and Raseeka, can you just put on your videos and Divya? Okay, so our first ARI for today for question and answer session is CA Lakshmanan. By qualification is mechanical engineer BE. Then he was working as a software engineer with Infosys for 2.5 2.5 years. After that, he has cleared CA Inter with AIR 2 and CA Final in July 2021. He is presently practicing in GST and internal audit and mostly works with office work automation, process automation. Welcome, Lakshmanan. Our second speaker is CA Raseeka Gokhale, AIR 11, CA Final AIR 11. She has done BCom from RA Poddar College of Commerce. She is currently working with Gokhale Associates and also runs mentorship platform by the name Mentofy, and has attended management development program at IIM Ahmedabad. And not to forget, she is our MOC of Tarang 2017. Welcome, you all. Over to you, Divya, for moderating.
Thank you, Nanesh. Welcome, Raseeka, and welcome, Lakshmanan. All
Thank
right.
you so
So,
much.
yes, great.
Thank you for this opportunity, BCS.
It is our pleasure
welcome
to
both
have
of
you
you,
both.
and heartiest congratulations for your achievements.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, please.
Right. So the first question is to Lakshmanan, that FR, that paper has become more of a theory paper. How do you cope up with it?
Okay, so this personally I have gone through. So when I read that in the Q&A, I was totally reminded of my classes. When I went to classes for FR, it was actually quite lengthy. The classes were lengthy. The reason was because just for that particular 4-mark small sum, my sir, he used to give all the context background and then comes to that journal entry and he says why they say like that in Indies. So rather than seeing it as a provision, since he has given the background, it's like seeing the movie completely and then seeing the climax, you'll be able to appreciate it. Straight away going into the climax will be a little difficult. So if you can see it with the background, FR will be very, very interesting. Eventually, okay, I'm not exaggerating, but you literally fall in love with it. But it takes time. To see it with background, it does take time. So that is something we'll have to invest, but it really works.
Okay, great. The second question is to Raseeka, that the poser is asking that I am targeting for November 22 attempt for both the groups of intermediate. What should be our current study plan? Let's presume she's also doing articleship. That's the reason she's asking this.
Correct. So you will get a 5-month leave. Currently, you must be just on the brink of completing your articleship and maybe the trainings involved. So there's nothing, of course, when you go on to the study leave, it's going to be a hectic period, but you have to get geared up for that. So right now, your strategy should be to make notes, to make all that should be feasible, that your 5 months go very smoothly. That 5 months before that, you have to make all your notes. Now, practical subjects is something that you should do regularly. Along with that, you should combine the theory. It's not that you can study only one subject at a time. So have a mixture of both, keep consistency in study, and make sure that you're doing everything on a repeat basis, so that, you know, ek subject karke you forget it. And then 7 days after that, you come back, I studied, what happened to me? And you yourself go into that mental block. Which is why have consistency, make a study plan and stick to it. Keep theory and practical together so that, you know, your mind doesn't get burdened with only theory subjects.
Okay, I will now shift about the same question to Lakshman. The next question is that we spoke about the theory part of the paper and Raseeka already clarified this, but many students are asking that what is the way to solve difficult practical questions? Because at times you're unable to solve it. So it becomes so, you know, overwhelming that Abhi, what do I do? So how do you think should be the cracking aspect?
Okay, this specifically I went through in SFM. So initially I took a compiler which I started solving problems. Now this is what I did, okay? This is what my mentor prescribed me and it really helped me a lot. After attending the classes, I used to solve the questions. There are few questions which I immediately solve and finish it off. Now my mentor says, whenever you get it right in the first time, most probably 95% you will get it right in the second time. So those sums are easy sums. There are few sums where I'll get stuck in particular place. I'll immediately circle it. Circling alone will not help. That's the trap. Actually, I got caught earlier, but later he told me I'll have to take a separate note, one per note. Whatever step I got, I made mistake, I wrote it down separately. This chapter, so and so some number, this particular line I made mistake. Then I understood what is the concept of that. Then I finished the sum. Now, when I went through all the sums this way, finally I had one particular note wherein it represents that I got stuck in those places. So all those part alone, if I revise, it will be easy. Now, let me clarify one more thing here. Initially, what I did was I started marking it in the book only. When I had to revise, next time when I took the book, it's like say 200 pages book. I had to keep turning pages one by one. It feels so terrifying that we'll have to turn the 200 pages. But when I started making all those mistake steps alone in a separate note, all it was just the 4 pages, back to back, totally 8 sides. Revising 8 sides, and revising 400 sides. Okay, that's the mental block that we go through. So at that moment, it feels painful to mark in the note because we feel like we'll have to finish the 400 pages immediately. But if you can take this, just that 2 minutes to note it down separately, it saves a lot of time. The concept that I'm talking about is nothing called Kaizen.
Correct. So it's a brilliant idea. We have a new logic to cracking the CA finals by knowing what mistakes you can make. Okay, so next
Summary
question
of mistakes. That's
yeah, summary of mistakes, of course. We are not mentioning the mistakes, but summary of mistakes, keeping in short and being aware of it. Raseeka, what do you think about this student who is asking that can I score a rank AIR in these 2 months because of certain issues he's not been able to study for the last 2 months? And now only 2 months remain for the CA final. So how should he go about it?
I mean, there's no straight answer to how to get a rank. You have to be consistent. And frankly, I never studied. I wanted a rank. So, you know what, junoon jo bolta hai na, you can always write on your books that you want an AIR. You know, you can write one. That gives you a positive energy to study. And how you might not have studied 2 months. That doesn't mean that's the end of the world. From today also, you can make that strategy, that plan, that how I can target the next couple of months that I have to hit it right. You already must have had a plan. You should have to stick to it. You can definitely get a rank. There's no book that says that if you didn't study for 2 months, you cannot get a rank. If you're studying well, if you can hit your targets, and definitely write papers. Writing practice is the most important. I have based all my efforts on the writing practice. Don't write your first paper in the exam hall. Do it before and you will be through.
I would just like to add something, Divya.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. See, I have examples of students who have secured rank in 3 months studies. Now you're saying it is 2 months because it is just 2 months left. Nobody. See, if you are targeting something like getting rank in 2 months or 3 months, it is like you are taking a chance in a T20 match that last 3 overs, you'll be able to score 50, 60. So that is a chance. And as what Raseeka said, you should always take a chance, and that will require a lot of positivity. See, you have to just believe that, okay, whatever I'm doing will get me a rank. And what is very important is pay focus on all the subjects. As I mentioned in my deliberation, first attempt to cover 70%. Now, how you'll select 70%? There is something called as scanners in market. There is a book called as Scanner, right? I don't know whether Lakshmanan and Raseeka would have referred that, but generally we always refer scanners. What are scanners? These are books which is a compilation of all past year exam questions. This scanner gives you an idea as to what is the trend. If you go through the scanner, it has given a trend as to how the papers are coming and which chapters are targeted in the compulsory part, which are given in the optional part. And suddenly you realize that, okay, out of the whole syllabus, these 4, 5, 6 chapters are very important because they only find place in the compulsory part. And then out of the remaining, which finds place in the non-compulsory part, you can select 5, 6 chapters. So it actually reduces your burden. So if we are planning in last 2-3 months, now you will require a different strategy. Now you cannot think of doing entire 100% because you also require precision. So first go through scanners, identify compulsory question and identify non-compulsory question. Now in this also, if compulsory is out of your reach, then strike out the compulsory chapters, then only focus on the non-compulsory chapters, so that at least you are able to attempt 84 marks, because only 16 marks is compulsory, or max to max 20 if I'm not wrong. So even by focusing on 84 marks or 80 marks and you are accurate in that, there is a possibility. It's like taking a chance in last 3 overs that you are going to score 60-70 runs, but that is possible. Yes.
Sure, I think that is a very good idea, because I remember that from the past experience of my uncle, he had said that one of his friends was articling back then with our firm in 1960s or say 50s. He had actually not, he was not prepared. So he was advised by one of the partners of the firm that since you have only few days left, not even months, you should study the last 10 years papers. And he actually cleared in the first attempt. So rank to pata nahi, pass to ho jaoge. So it's like that, of course. All right, back to Lakshman. Right now, it's a very heated discussion that, okay, I would say 8 hours is enough to study. Vishal would obviously agree as a teacher, 12 to 14 hours, you have to build that momentum. So, of course, it's all about your mindset and how you build yourself. How do you know that as a student you studied enough is the first question. And secondly, how do you build your capacity? Because I'm sure everybody doesn't come from that background that, oh my God, you know, we were studying for last 3 years for 8 hours. So even if 6 to 8 hours is a pain, how do you go back to 12 to 14 hours? Could you throw some light on that?
Yeah, sure. Because this again, I've gone through and my mentor has guided me there. When I was looking forward for when I came into CA, when I was seeing videos, people generally used to say 12 hours, 14 hours. I was literally wondering, is it possible? So what happened? First, as you both covered, Divya ji and Vishal ji, schedule is the base document here. So how much time I have, how much syllabus I have left. If the schedule says you have, in order to cover this enough, you will have to study 10 hours, then 10 is the target. If 9 hours is enough, 9 hours is the target. But all of the sudden, on day one, can we catch up with 10? Not possible, doesn't work. So when I started with 6. In 1 month, it went to 8. After that, it went to 10. After that, I do not know how many hours it went. Okay, so because I fell into the subjects, that's what I have to tell. When it was nearby April, I think I should have hit 12. But I have one principle for me. Okay, this may not work for everyone, but generally people say they study for 14. My effective is 12. I don't operate that way. I study for 10. It means full 10 I'm into the subject. For a moment, if I understand that the concept is not going into my head, straight I will go to TV, watch sometimes some program. After half an hour, it come back. My mind will start accepting. So I instantly throw the book, go away, and then come back. So how to know if we have completely studied or not? If we track the schedule of the, if we track the progress of the schedule, that's much more enough. So it's purely based on the schedule. Like you generally say, right? For vouching, invoice is the best document. So here, schedule is the best document. And one schedule need not be the same for the other one. For some, it may be 14. For some, it may be 10. I roughly found my effective hours were on an average 10. And for me, I found it sufficient.
Fair.
When I say 10, I'll be totally 10 hours into the subject. That's what I mean. No mobiles, nothing. No deviations. Totally into the subject.
Right. So we have to know that what is concentration and focus. So everybody has to become very rigid while studies are on. Okay, actually, I'll ask this question to Vishal since you're a teacher as well. That let's say I have missed out classes and I'm not sure of the concept, even though they were taught to me in classes. Should I refer to any YouTube videos or how do I cope up with that concept, which I have not been sure of?
See, I'll share my personal understanding and I'll also request other two speakers to throw light on this. See, YouTube videos, again, the problem is you start watching one and you are starting getting in the feed more options. And then what happens when you are watching one, suddenly somewhere you feel, nahi, main dusra dekhta hu, you switch to the other one. Then to some extent you'll watch that, you'll switch because you are now automatically getting the notifications. And I think this is a trap. So I will never recommend going to WhatsApp videos. Yes, I will definitely recommend that our ICI, our institute, has recorded lectures on the its app, I think on the cloud. Please go through those lectures, select the topic, select the chapter, and watch that one thing. As I mentioned earlier, if you are going into too many things, it is at the end of the day, you will not understand it from anyone. It will be just a waste of time. And if possible, don't go to YouTube because anyways, we are recommending to keep the mobile aside. And once you get into YouTube, it will multiply. It is their algorithm which will take you to the different things, and then you'll have immediately in feed some rankers views. You'll have immediately in feed something else. It will take you to some. It will take you to the days of your interview. You are still sitting for exams, and you start dreaming of your interview. So it is going to be time wastage. Either you go to ICI's cloud, or you go to any of your senior or your teacher who is available and get it done. If not, forget that concept. It is out of syllabus. Move on to the next one. This is my view. Yes, I would like others
Yeah,
to.
I completely agree. I mean, I was known to pester my teacher often because something I missed, maybe some class I missed. I would think that the teacher would be the best person to tell me, even in a synopsis of 10 minutes, but he is a better person to tell me than some. But nevertheless, for amendments, for revisions,
Yeah.
because I used to like to listen to audios, I had an habit of preparing my own audio voice as well. So when I'm walking on my physical break, I used to listen to my own audios. But those revision, those amendment capsules help. But for a concept, I think teacher is the best shot you can have to perfect what you've missed.
Sure.
I concur with both Vishal ji and Raseeka in this particular point.
Okay, great. That's the quickest answer. It's like an MCQ.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to Raseeka now. How did you manage your articleship and studying? I understand that you said that you must have a schedule, but
Correct.
saying that have a schedule, following it, preparing it, and doing it, because most times people go back home late. They're working late hours. Even if they're not working late hours, the traffic only kills them in the cities they work in or the towns they work in. How do you manage the whole thing?
So, which is very true. I'm just saying that you have a plan and stick to it doesn't really work. You have to be change is the only constant. So you have to keep updating. ठीक है, आज due dates है. It's going on for everybody. Your exams or your study timetable must be a miss. But then what if you get up early in the morning? Try to at least study 1 hour, 1.5 hour every day. Because if you keep a gap, and suddenly open the books in the weekend you can put most of your time. Right now CA is a journey where you have to forget every other, because then you will reach a certain situation where you will get to enjoy this. Today what me and the other panelist is getting to enjoy, that pride is what your entire sacrifice comprises of. So get up a little early, maybe put in more effort on the weekends. That is what will bring you to this journey. So I understand articleship is there. When you're doing your articleship, if you're in DT, read the bare law. There only you can study. You can actually understand the concepts when you're doing your practical training. So it need not be just because you're working, you're not studying. It can always go hand in hand. And you have to put that extra effort if you want to crack it in first go.
Sure.
Divya ji, I would like to add 2 more points. Just 2 lines.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When you're preparing a plan, there are 2 types, right? So one is what we wanted to have. One is the realistic plan. So generally where we fall is we tend to go to the desirous part, create it. When we are not able to follow it, it creates negative evidence and totally we lose hope. So when the plan is as realistic as possible and we are able to achieve it, the confidence, right? It happens like a future value, the power of compounding that happens. So more realistic the plan, more positive evidence, more confidence. That is point number 1. Point number 2, because specifically Divya ji asked there is too much traffic and travel, I would like to suggest one small technique there. I didn't get caught there, but there were a few of my friends who got caught into this traffic stuff. Revision doesn't necessarily mean you have to take notes and see the notes only. It can be through any mode. You can record your own videos, watch it again. You can record your audio notes, hear it. Okay. Anyway, while traveling in bus, we are going to put the Bluetooth phones. Today, Bluetooth headphones. So as soon as you study the topic, even if you have written it, just in your own voice, record it. When you're traveling, even if you are not totally mindful, it's okay. Make that audio play in the Bluetooth headphones. If you keep slowly hearing it, that's an added revision. Something is better than nothing, right? So for people who are traveling, kindly think about it. Your own recorded voice helps a lot in that. Yeah, over to Divya.
Sure. I'll just ask these last 2 questions, which adds to the consistency point also, which Raseeka mentioned, which I feel Lakshmanan should answer. And I'll take the last question to maybe Raseeka and Vishal. So the second last question to Lakshman is that if you ever feel low and you're not in a mood and to remain consistent, what are the things you should do? How do you cope up? Because you already have very short time. Now in that short time, if your mood swings, you're not able to cope up with the schedule. Forget the schedule, you don't even look at your books or people around you. How do you handle that situation?
Okay, I'll tell what was the workaround I made. Okay, Vishal ji has already said it. I would like to add more on that. He said, always remember why you started CA. I'll add one more on that. Please write down why you started CA. Okay. The problem that happens is when the mood is actually down, the thinking power goes down, and we'll not be able to recollect all the points. That's why generally we write down notes itself in our theories, the subjects. So take a sheet of paper, write down all the things that comes to your mind, why you wanted to do CA when you're topmost motivated. Every time when you're down, read that. That will make you realize why you started in the first place. So writing really helps. Second point, what I did was I had my own routines of stress breakers. So basically, I like riding bikes. I'm from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. So there are nearby places. I love visiting temples. So there are many temples nearby. I have chosen 4 temples. Anytime I'm down, I immediately take my bike, go there, come back. It takes hardly 3 hours. I'm refreshed. The third thing I would do is I love paneer tikka very much. So nearby my home, there is something called Anandas. That particular week, if I finished my schedule, whatever I have put, I will go there, order paneer tikka, slowly eat it, enjoy, come back.
You
So
reward
paneer
yourself.
tikka is my reward cycle. So
Okay.
these are my stress breakers. I'm not saying everyone should have. Some people love cooking, some people love writing, some people love singing. Whatever strikes you emotionally, have that as a stress breaker. Just 1 or 2. That will help a lot. That's what made me cope up with whenever I fell down.
Okay, great. Next question is to Raseeka. How do you make the corporate law subject a piece of cake? Because they're constantly into studying the theory part, and the mind keeps deviating. Itna sara law hai, you kind of get deviated. How do you cope up with the whole paper?
So corporate law actually is a very interesting subject if you look at it from the practical angle, because it brings what you are doing in practical into motion. Currently, you are working with companies all around. And what we do in audit, this is a very dynamic key. Even the smallest thing that company law tells that every company should have a board outside in their regional language is what we should know because we study the law. So there are some good chapters, there are some irritating chapters, I understand, but you need to know which chapter or which portion is what. And whenever you study anything, come back and apply it on the client that you are working in. अरे मैंने आज ये लॉ पढ़ा था, ये क्लाइंट ये करता है क्या? You in your own way are bringing the theory into practice and break the law as much as you can. Start with the subject which starting just foreign company, all those small which are not interlinked to anything. They are just individualistic chapters. Study them first. And I used to always do this because section numbers play an important role irrespective of any theory paper. So note down those section numbers, write it behind. Every notebook, you should have your own notes where you're noting down the section numbers, the gist of that chapter. And then don't study from the entire thing. So if you are going to classes, your classes notes, compare it with ICI module, make mini notes on your chapters, and then make your consolidated behind the notebook notes that you will refer on the last day, and study in a synchronized manner. Finish all those small mini chapters that you like, come to big chapters, use that theory into your practical on how your client or your around surrounding companies are doing it or not. Use the MCA portal. Actually, that gives you a flair of what company law is. And trust me, it's really interesting once you get to know it.
Yeah, so I feel what you're trying to say is when you're actually doing articleship, you go from practical to theory when you go to the exam. And when you come back from the exams, you're so theory driven and you've revised everything, what you've done and you've studied, that you can apply into practical lives as well, which I've always felt when I came back from my CA finals. I felt like a CA already, although I was not qualified, because you studied in that pattern. Okay, my last question is to Vishal, and it's very important from the point of view of being motivated. It usually comes from the perspective that once if I've failed, may it be a CA final or intermediate, and I've failed multiple times, because I know a lot of people have to keep giving the exam again and again, and they're so down, and so they don't have that strength to match to the books, to match to see the past papers. What do you have to tell for them?
Well, there are rather three things I would like to say in this. First thing, see, you have failed so many number of times. Fine. Okay. First thing you have to check is whether are your methods correct, and especially after the first and the second attempt, did you really study? Because many times I have seen that we are simply getting into a cycle. We just for the namesake register for the attempt, and now we are not yet started studying. In the last 1.5 months, okay, now since the attempt is approaching, we sit to study. So are you actually doing that? First, check that whether you are really studying and whether you are studying in the right manner, or in the manner in the sense means how you need to study. Second, Many times I have seen students who are actually so much motivated that even after 4 or 5 failures, they are giving the attempt. So they are satisfying my first criteria that they are studying, still they are not getting results. It means somewhere your studying methodology is going wrong. Now I'll tell you what I have observed. I have observed that many times students just go through the practical answers. Actually, you have to solve them. What even Lakshmanan had mentioned, that wherever you find it is difficult, you have to make a note of this. Nobody is making a note. Forget about making a note. They are not yet itself solving. I have seen students, they take a calculator, they have book nowadays. Unfortunately, books are having questions and answers. When I used to study, like I mentioned about scanner, the scanners were only having questions. Now the scanners are having questions and answers. You go to any reference book, they are having questions and answers. In our times, I remember taxation book, it had 2 3 solved answers, and then it only had questions and one line final answer. This is total income, total tax. And because of one small mistake, the answer never used to match, and we used to spend hours finding out what went wrong. Point is, I've seen students that because of such books, that question and answer is available, they are just going through the question, they are taking the calci, okay, in balance sheet, this is the figure of capital, they'll do some, I got this figure. Next, they will go to costing sum, okay, this is the question, this is the cost sheet. They have the answer in front of them, and then they are only checking the figures on the calculator. I don't understand whether they are checking the author's knowledge, that okay, whether the author has done the calculation right. See, when you are going to answer in the real exam, you will not have answer to check and confirm. You have to understand how to go from question to the answer yourself. This is one biggest mistake I've seen in practicals. And in theory, the biggest problem is students are only going for reading. They count how many readings they have done, but they don't understand that they have to make short notes and they have to memorize them. Also, nowadays a new fad has come that okay, we'll only remember the keywords, and now the keywords are put to them in the form of a song or a story. It is okay, but the content inside the keyword is also important. Student write the keyword, they underline it. Many times they use colored pen to underline it because they are told in the classes that okay, the examiner is going to read the keyword, and if he finds the keyword, he will give you marks. This is wrong. Your content in the keyword has to be also relevant, and it should be matching with the keyword. You're writing one keyword and you're writing something else in the content, how you'll get marks? So first, you have to first check whether you are really studying or you are just giving attempts. Second, if you are really studying, you are really 100% into the books, then still if you are getting if you're not getting results, it means your methodology is wrong. Check whether any of this is going wrong. And third, as what Raseeka lastly said, many students, maybe it first attempt, fourth attempt or fifth attempt, they have done really well, but they did not practice for papers. And it so happens, it is like I am practicing on tennis ball and I'm going for a leather ball match. How will I succeed? Then it will require a big luck that I succeed. And last thing, I have many students who have given 13, 14 attempts and they have become CA. So if you are failing from 4, 5 attempts, don't lose heart. These 3 things you check, whether you are really studying, whether your method is right, and thirdly, are you actually giving papers in the right sense, in the exam conditions, without seeing the answers. You do this, it may be your 5th attempt, 10th attempt, I guarantee you correct these 3 things, you will pass. I have students who have given exams for 13, 14, 15 attempts and they have become CAs. Because also, I'll just add last thing. You have some attempts where students pass because, like, I'll just tell you, in the previous attempt, maybe because of COVID, the institute was lenient. They have actually given marks. Student themselves tell me, ki, sir, mera to paper hi utna attempt nahi hua tha. They have given .40 in one subject. So this also happens. Institute also has quotas and targets to achieve. So there will be attempt, you have to just tick on. You will get that golden attempt, that paper which will just click for you and you will pass. So don't lose hope. Just remember, Lakshmanan also said, I also said, you should know that one reason why you want to do CA. Age doesn't matter, attempt doesn't matter. I was, in my initial years of classes, when I was of the age of 24, I had students who are of the age of 40 plus. I had 13 students. And that was the most motivating batch for me, because looking at them, that they had failed during their young age, then they got into some job, they got into some practice because of family responsibilities, and after the age of 40 45 they again decided, nay, I want to complete CA for their dream, and they did it. I tell you, within 1 year they all 13 were charters. That is my biggest example I would like to give to everyone. And then those examples where students have given 13 14 attempts and they have become CA, you will get that one golden attempt for you. But for that golden attempt, you have to be patient and you have to prepare thoroughly, because I may be weak in one subject, I agree, I may be weak and that subject is troubling me, At times I focus more on that subject, my other subject gets weak. But keep that patience and keep going. You will get that one golden attempt which will give you your degree. Over to Divya.
Okay, so thank you everyone in the panel. I think I am so motivated myself. Forget the students who are participating that I feel like giving another attempt of CA, but I'm fine now. I hand over the proceedings to Anand Bhai. Thank you very much everyone and the panels.
Thank you so much. I think it was such a motivating lecture that we all right away would be making strategies as to how to crack the exams. But before that, just to lighten up everybody's mood, so just once you finish your exams in May, BCS have an annual event which is called Tarang. It's like a get together like what you have in colleges. So we got so much into our studies and all that we don't get time to enjoy and connect with other students. So BCS has this program called Tarang, and we have with Raseeka with us, who has been one part of this Tarang, and she had been the master of ceremonies for one of the events. So just Javed is sharing one snippet of Tarang, which is also.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you feel the floor dancing? ये आगाज है एक त्योहार का, आप सभी के प्यार का और एक साल के लंबे इंतजार का। ये रंग है खुशियों के, ये रंग है उमंगों के, ये रंग है खूबियों के। सीपीटी आईपीसीसी और फाइनल की किताबों के पर ये रंग है तरंग के।
I think thank you, sir, for bringing back such fond memories. I went back right into that time.
Yeah, and Raseeka, with your studies, I believe you enjoyed also a lot in Tarang.
Definitely. I will urge everybody to take part. It was the best experience I could get, and a big thank you to BCS for doing it. You should definitely take part.
Wonderful. So please do enroll. Dhyanesh has shared the link on the chat box and be part of our team. Thank you so much. Over to KK sir.
नमस्कार।
गुड इवनिंग।
मेरे सभी प्यारे दोस्तों को मैं बता नहीं सकता, विशाल जी, रशिका, लक्ष्मणन एंड दिव्या, कितना एंजॉय किया मैंने। लास्ट 15 मिनट में ही था, मेरा रश्मि भाई के साथ था, पूरा ज्वाइन नहीं किया। काश 32 इयर्स पहले मैं सुना होता आप लोगों को, पता नहीं आप उस टाइम किस अवतार में थे। आई कंप्लीटेड माय सीए 32 इयर्स बैक एंड लेट मी टेल यू बॉस, जो आप लोगों ने कहा ना, गोल्डन वॉइस है, गोल्डन वर्ड्स है, अमेजिंग। मुझे इतना बढ़िया लगा। मुझे आई थिंक 4 या 5 साल बाद मैंने ये प्रोग्राम अटेंड किया है, देखा है। आरवीजी में आया करता था मैं बिल्कुल। ओ वाओ वाओ, अपनी एक पुरानी सनातन एक हमारे संस्कार है, प्रथा है कि जो सज्जन लोग होते हैं, अच्छे लोग होते हैं, जैसे आप जैसे लोग जो हैं, वो लोग सोसाइटी में से कुछ लेते भी हैं तो देने के लिए लेते हैं, एक्चुअली रखने के लिए नहीं लेते। जैसे जो बादल होता है वो समुद्र का खारा पानी लेता है और फिर मीठा बना के बरस जाता है उसके अंदर, अपने पास कुछ नहीं रखता है। नदियां होती है, पानी रखती है और देखिए प्यास बुझाते हुए लास्ट सागर में समा जाती है उसके अंदर। सेम जो हमारे पेड़ रहते हैं, वो आसपास की हरियाली से, पानी से, ऊर्जा से सब लेके और फिर हमें फल देते हैं। मेरे चारों फैकल्टी, दिव्या, लक्ष्मणन सर एंड विशाल जी एंड रशिका, यू हैव डन द सेम थिंग। Big clap for all of you. Big clap for all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please keep sharing your voice, your knowledge, everything with the student. They need it. They need it more desperately. And ये program देख के मुझे लग रहा है कि I will share all these links to RVG because I have good connection with RVG and there are more than 1,000 students. So I will definitely share this link with those 1,000 students also, because today only I think 100 students were there. So they will be benefited by just listening all these words. So
I just have one thing to say, KK sir. Since you said that the Sanatan Dharma you spoke about, for those 58 participants who are still surviving on this session, that we have to keep ourselves motivated while we are studying or we are in practice or we are working as a chartered accountant. by thinking that we are, as professionals have studied to help in nation building.
Yes.
So when B is for BCS or B is for Bharat,
Yeah.
we have to study only to give it back to the society, to be
Yes.
better professionals, and to ensure that those who require a service,
Yes.
this is the only way to give it back. Meaning, why we are studying is because we have to give it back to the society and become better professionals. Otherwise, koi bhi CA kar leta.
Yeah.
So we can say that this is like a yoga, or you say karma yoga, that you have to do CA and you are studying for CA because you are doing something for nation building, and there's something giving back to the society because there is a human body given to you in this birth.
Yes.
So might as well use it for something beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree, Divya. And all of you are already doing it. And definitely, I'm so glad. And thanks to Anand and Dhyanesh, who has organized this program. And thanks to all my beloved students.
Yes, thank you to them.
Very keenly attended and very passionately they attended till the last. They were, like in classes, they are giving full focus, full attention. So I'm really thankful to all these students also. And we would love to hear you again, all of you.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure,
so
sir.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Sir.
Thanks to Almighty God.
Thank you for your very kind words, sir.
No,
Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed. And just I would end only two things. I know a person who has given attempt for continuously 10 years. And now he's CMD of one listed company, and that company's market cap is 5,000 crore. I can't name because it's not appropriate. So exam is different, and after
Exactly.
this success is completely
Agreed.
So one should not be demotivated by doing this. And I know one more person. He has given, I think, 8 or 9 attempts, and he's also one finance company MD, and that is also listed in Bombay Stock Exchange. And that market cap is nearly 2,000 crore. So this is one exam. Here on, this next exam will start, and we have to keep on attempting. We have to give our best. So you already beautifully you are covered. So many thanks to you.
And thank you to Anand and Dhyanesh for having all of us together, patched up, and they were constantly following us with us, beautifully organized. Thank you very much.
Really a pleasure to have you all on board.
Thank you for all the efforts, Anand bhai and Dhyanesh bhai.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good day. Bye-bye.
Good day.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, sir.